A warrant officer in the British Armed Forces is a member of the highest group of non-commissioned ranks, holding the Queen's Warrant, which is signed by the Secretary of State for Defence. Warrant officers are not saluted as they do not hold the Queen's commission, however they are to be addressed as Sir, Ma'am by subordinates. Commissioned officers may address warrant officers either by their appointment or as Mr., Mrs., or Ms., and then the last name, e.g. Mr. Smith. Although often referred to along with non-commissioned officers, they are not NCOs but members of a separate group, although all have been promoted from NCO rank. Royal Navy. Use of the term warrant officer dates from the beginnings of the Royal Navy, a time when ships were commanded by noblemen who depended on others with specialist skills to oversee the practicalities of life on board. Specialists such as a ship's carpenter, boatswain and gunner were vital to the safety of all on board, and were accordingly ranked as officers, though by warrant rather than by commission. These and other specialists retained their distinctive rank and status until 1949, when the rank of warrant officer was abolished. In 1973, warrant officers reappeared in the Royal Navy, but these appointments followed the Army model, with the new warrant officers being ratings rather than officers, superior to the rate of Chief Petty Officer. They were ranked as equivalents to warrant officers Class 1 in the British Army and Royal Marines and with warrant officers in the Royal Air Force. The rank was initially titled as Fleet Chief Petty Officer, becoming warrant officer in the 1980s. In April 2004, the Royal Navy created the rate of warrant officer Class 2, superior to the CPO and subordinate to existing warrant officers who were retitled as Warrant Officer Class 1. The WO2 replaced the non-substantive appointment of Charge Chief Petty Officer in the technical branches. Prior to this change, the CCPO was considered as a NATO or 8, equivalent to WO2. In non-technical branches, there is still no requirement to hold WO2 rank before promotion to WO1. Warrant officers wear the same rank insignia as the counterparts in the Royal Marines. In 2005, the Royal Navy introduced the appointment of Executive Warrant Officer in all ships and shore establishments. The EWO is the senior warrant officer within the unit, and a member of the senior command team. The appointment is intended to be filled by an experienced WO1. Above these are 4 command warrant officers: CWO surface ships, CWO submarines, CWO Royal Marines, CWO Fleet Air Arm and CWO Maritime Reserves. The WO2 rank started to be phased out in April 2014, with no new appointments, with existing holders of the rank of WO2 to retain the rank until they are either promoted or leave the service. Royal Marines. Before 1879, the Royal Marines had no warrant officers, but by the end of 1881, warrant rank was held by sergeant majors and some other senior NCOs. In a similar fashion to the Army, warrant officers were given equivalent status to those in the Royal Navy from 1910, with the Royal Marines gunner equivalent to the Navy's warrant rank of gunner. Shortly after, the Army introduced the ranks of warrant officer classes I and II in 1915. The Royal Marines did the same. From February 1920, Royal Marines warrant officers Class 1 were once more retitled warrant officers and given the same status as Royal Navy warrant officers, and the rank of warrant officer Class 2 was abolished in the Royal Marines, with no further promotions to the rank, although men who already held it retained it. As in the Royal Navy, by the Second World War there were warrant officers and commissioned warrant officers. As officers, they were saluted by junior ranks. These all became branch officer ranks in 1949, and special duties officer ranks in 1956. In 1973 the Royal Marines reintroduced the same warrant ranks as the Army, Warrant Officer Class 1 and Warrant Officer Class 2, replacing the ranks of Quartermaster Sergeant and Regimental Sergeant Major. The insignia of the same, but all Royal Marines were to wear the crown in wreath variation. As in the Army, many warrant officers have appointments by which they are known, referred to and addressed. WO2 appointments are Company Sergeant Major, Regimental Quartermaster Sergeant, Bandmaster, Corps Drum Major. WO1 appointments are Regimental Sergeant Major, Bandmaster, Corps Bandmaster, Corps Bugle Major. The most senior Royal Marines WO1 is the Corps Regimental Sergeant Major. Directly junior to him is the Command Warrant Officer. The rank below WO2 is Colour Sergeant, the Royal Marines equivalent of Staff Sergeant. The Royal Marines rank of Warrant Officer Class 2 is unaffected by the 2014 phase-out of the rank in the Royal Navy. British Army. In the British Army, there are two warrant ranks, Warrant Officer Class 2 and Warrant Officer Class 1, the latter being the senior of the two. It used to be more common to refer to these ranks as WOII and WOI. Warrant Officer First Class as Second Class is incorrect. The rank immediately below WO2 is Staff Sergeant. WO1s wear a royal coat of arms on the lower sleeve, except for the regimental sergeant majors of Foot Guards regiments who wear a larger version of the same coat of arms on the upper sleeve. The insignia of those holding the most senior WO1 appointment of conductor is the coat of arms surrounded by a wreath. Historically, the four most senior warrant officer appointments in the British Army according to Queen's regulations were, in descending order of seniority: Conductor, Royal Logistic Corps, Royal Artillery Sergeant Major, Royal Artillery, Academy Sergeant Major, Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, Garrison Sergeant Major, London District. In 2015, the new appointment of Army Sergeant Major was introduced. The holder of this appointment is now the most senior warrant officer in the British Army. Appointments. Most warrant officers have an appointment, and they are usually referred to by their appointment rather than by the rank. Appointments held by WO1s include Academy Sergeant Major, Accountant Sergeant Major, Armament Sergeant Major, Armourer Sergeant Major, Army Sergeant Major, Artificer Sergeant Major, Bandmaster, Clerk of Works Sergeant Major, Conductor, Farrier Corporal Major, Farrier Sergeant Major, Foreman of Signals, Foreman of Signals, Foreman of Signals Sergeant Major, Foreman of Works Sergeant Major, Garrison Sergeant Major, Instructor, Master Gunner First Class, Master Gunner Second Class, Mechanist Sergeant Major, Pipe Major, Regimental Corporal Major, Regimental Sergeant Major, Saddler Sergeant Major, Schoolmaster First Class Schoolmaster, Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major Artillery Clerk, Sergeant Major Instructor, Staff Sergeant Major, First Class Staff Sergeant Major, Subconductor, Superintending Clerk, Yeoman of Signals. WO2s wear a crown on the lower sleeve, surrounded by a wreath for Quartermaster Sergeants and all WO2s in the Royal Army Medical Corps and the 9th 12th Royal Lancers. Appointments held by WO2s include Accountant Quartermaster Sergeant, Armament Quartermaster Sergeant, Armourer Quartermaster Sergeant, Artificer Quartermaster Sergeant, Band Corporal Major, Band Sergeant Major, Battery Sergeant Major, Clerk of Works Quartermaster Sergeant, Company Sergeant Major, Drill Sergeant, Drum Major, Farrier Corporal Major, Farrier Quartermaster Corporal, Farrier Quartermaster Sergeant, Fitter Quartermaster Sergeant, Foreman of Signals, Foreman of Signals, Foreman of Signals Quartermaster Sergeant, Foreman of Works Quartermaster Sergeant, Garrison Quartermaster Sergeant, Master Gun of 3rd Class, Mechanist Quartermaster Sergeant, Orderly Room Quartermaster Sergeant, Orderly Room Sergeant, Pipe Major, Quartermaster Corporal Major, Quartermaster Sergeant Artillery Clerk, Quartermaster Sergeant Instructor, Regimental Quartermaster Corporal, Regimental Quartermaster Sergeant, Saddler Quartermaster Sergeant, Schoolmaster, Sergeant Major Signals, Squadron Corporal Major, Squadron Sergeant Major, Staff Quartermaster Sergeant, Technical Quartermaster Sergeant, Troop Sergeant Major, Trumpet Major. From 1938, there was also a rank of Warrant Officer Class 3. The only appointments held by this rank were Platoon Sergeant Major, Troop Sergeant Major and Section Sergeant Major. The WOII wore a crown on his lower sleeve. The rank was placed in suspension in 1940 and no new appointments were made, but it was never officially abolished. Forms of address. How warrant officers are addressed depends, as does much else in the British Army, on the traditions of the regiment or corps. However, there are some general rules of thumb. WO1s are usually addressed as Mr. Surname by officers and by the peers, and as Sir or Mr. Surname, Sir, by the subordinates. WO2s should only be addressed by their appointment, for example, Sergeant Major, Corporal Major, Q for Quartermaster Sergeants or RQ for the Regimental Quartermaster Sergeant by the peers and superiors. They should be addressed as Sir or Ma'am by subordinates. It is common for a WO2 not in a CSM, SSM or RQMS appointment to be addressed as Mr. Surname by officers. A notable exception to the above is the Foot Guards and Honourable Artillery Company, where the Regimental Sergeant Major is known as, and addressed by officers as, Sergeant Major, and the Company Sergeant Majors are addressed as Company Sergeant Major or Squadron Sergeant Major. Royal Air Force. The Royal Air Force first used the ranks of Warrant Officer Class 1 and 2 which it inherited from the Royal Flying Corps. It also first used the rank badges of the Royal Coat of Arms and the Crown respectively. Until the 1930s, these ranks were often known as Sergeant Major 1st and 2nd Class. In 1939, the RAF abolished the rank of WOII and retained just the WOI rank, referred to as just Warrant Officer, which it remains to this day. The RAF has no equivalent to WO2, and RAF were being equivalent to WO1 in the Army, Royal Navy and Royal Marines and wears the same badge of rank, the Royal Coat of Arms. Warrant officers are addressed as Warrant Officer, or sometimes this is abbreviated down to just Warrant. The correct way to address a warrant officer is Sir or Ma'am by the airman and Mr. Warrant Officer name by the officers. Most RAF warrant officers do not hold appointments as in the Army or Royal Marines. The exception to this is a stationed warrant officer who is considered a first amongst equals by other RAF warrant officers on a RAF station. Warrant officers are the highest non-commissioned rank and they rank above flight sergeants. In 1946 the RAF renamed its aircrew warrant officers Master Aircrew, a designation which still survives. In 1950, it renamed warrant officers in technical trades Master Technicians, a designation which only survived until 1964. The most senior RAF warrant officer is the Chief of the Air Staff Warrant Officer. Cadet organizations. Army Cadet Force and Combined Cadet Force. The rank of Warrant Officer does not exist in the Army Cadet Force and Combined Cadet Force. Instead, the ranks of Sergeant Major Instructor or Regimental Sergeant Major Instructor are used. The rank insignia is similar to that as worn by Army Warrant Officers but with the addition of the letters ACF for CCF. As with adult staff, cadets should not use the ranks of warrant officer. The ranks of cadet company sergeant major and cadet regimental sergeant major are used instead. The rank insignia is similar to that worn by Army warrant officers, but with the addition of the word cadet. Air Training Corps and Combined Cadet Force. Cadets in the Air Training Corps and the RAF section of the Combined Cadet Force may hold the rank of cadet warrant officer. ATC adult staff promoted to warrant officer are known as warrant officers. As with other ATC adult NCO ranks, they are civilian members of the ATC and not members of the Royal Air Force.